haven't even started this weekend, and it's Doug overload. Now you come. You decide to come join us now?
I was waiting for you guys to get ready. Throw a chillaxing on a more comfortable couch. After you told me to take my food and finish it, so I did.
I guess Doug's joining us.
He's joining us.
What's your plan here, bud?
I don't know. You yell at me for coming over?
Then take a seat.
Be predictable.
Or just do a thing. Do a thing and commit to the thing.
Commitment is hard.
Remember when we were about to start?
We're ready to go. Well, I guess it is recording. We could just carry on. I'm sure this will be a timely interruption.
How do we...
How's the volume levels looking?
Looks good.
All
Looks
right.
good.
Good.
I'm glad Doug's joining us, too.
Me.
All right, let's get this thing going.
So I love that term, think tank. Think tank. I mean, you know what a think tank is? Like, how's a think tank go, Jim?
Yeah, they got cancel culture nowadays. You gotta watch what you say. It's getting real scary out here.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know if I can take the conversation here, but we might as well. It's the Rethink Tank. Looks like you had a little bit too much to think here in the Rethink Tank.
Hey, what's going on, everybody, and thanks for joining us again. Today is a interesting Saturday morning. We've got a long endeavor ahead of us. We have the Rethink Tank is going to see the 21 Pilots concert where hockey is just going to continuously get in the way. I guess it's a hockey event. No, but we're here in Columbus, and we're taking advantage of the venue of our Airbnb and the presence of some of our favorite commentators that we need to start breaking down. A lot has evolved since David has left the live show. I'd like to kind of talk about the state of the state. And then also, mainly today's episode is going to be talking about J.D. Vance and our interaction most recently with Ukraine, but also leading up to that with the European Union and everything else.
Damn near breaking news.
Before we get into all that, before we get into the politics and the meat of today's episode, I had a couple things I wanted to talk about today. So like I said, we're in Columbus. Last night we went to a secret comedy show. It was in some like hipsters art studio, and it was a great show.
It's good.
But I did have a couple comments that I thought we could talk about.
All right.
To kick the show off, get some energy going. First, David says he saw this lady before, and she just totally bombed. And with this part, it bombed with me, so it makes sense. But we had this lady come out, and she starts her whole set with, and I'm gay. Yeah, crickets. That was the room. The room's like, okay, that's where we're at. Like, wake up. So she gets offended. She's like, this side hates gays, and this side is a bunch of Christians. And it's like, no, it actually is. Yeah, no. Do I have a cross on me at all times? 100%. That had nothing to do with why your lack of joke did not bring about a laugh. But her frustration of, what do you want us to do? You have a whole month. My comment was going to be, what do you want me to do? Throw you a parade? You have a whole month of parades. And you want me to, what, cheer for you? Put it on the flip side. This is with everything that we socially wrestle with today. If you put it on the other side, if I walked out and I was like, hey, I'm a straight comedian. What, do you all hate birthing people? Like, this is ridiculous. And it's one, if it's so normal, if it's so just like everyday life, then why do we need to cheer you on? You combed your hair today, you brushed your teeth, and you're gay. Woo! Like, get on with your life. Now, tell me a joke and make me laugh. It took us 25 minutes into finding out about all your, like, at-home issues for us to go, yeah, there's nothing else at play here. I'm going to flip it to you. Feel free to jump in at any point.
I'm waiting for the day where we have a comedian that does basically the same bit, but it's just all being straight. and it is played for laughs. I think there's probably going to be someone that's brave enough or probably intelligent enough to just throw that out there and get and get those types of laughs. Like, well, hey, I'm straight. Did you guys know I'm straight? Yeah, really like women. Someone's going to do that and kill it. Basically, just be like counterculture to the LGBT. Now, I think her set. I think she righted the ship a little bit on there, and I'm still waiting for one of these to just. I want to see a true bomb because I saw her one other time. And her bombing is just like it just doesn't land. It's an uninteresting bomb. It's like I get a few chuckles and it's nothing too crazy. I want a meltdown on stage where someone just that's the entertainment that I'm looking for when I'm seeing some amateur.
You're going to a comedy show for someone to just melt down?
Oh yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I wouldn't lie. That would be a great. I think that'd be better. That would have been a better comedy performance than her comedy. So, are you kidding me? If she broke down on stage at a mental break, I would have been like this.
Tony Hinchcliffe made an empire on that exact thing. Just bad comics.
There is something to be said about that. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
All right. To transition a little bit away from her to one other comedian that brings about more of a social dialogue than the comedian and his set. Some guy comes out, big old beard, total schizophrenic. Like, he literally looks like a homeless guy that just, like, is squawking all the crazy stuff as you pass by. He has a slew of paintings, and one of the ones that stood out to me the most, he kept flirting with it, right? He starts his set off with how he hates Elon Musk and how, he's another one of those billionaires. I wouldn't cry if something happened to him. But then later in this set, he's got these homeless paintings, and he's, intertwining his paintings, his art, into his comedy. And he has this painting of Luigi Mangione as a saint. And, I think we kind of flirted with this a little bit maybe in the live show before, but we've never really had a conversation about how gross this reflection on society has become, where people are cheering for the murder of other people. And I don't know if that really comes from any other place but jealousy and failure, because in the twisted mentality that they justify it, billions are too much, and that like this totally uneven balance of wealth is what's suffocating our system. But dude, I think we need to get out and experience life a lot more, because when you go out, like, just go to Sandusky, right? Like along a shitty lake in Ohio. Go see the millionaires just casually living.
Beautiful houses.
That's what I'm saying. That's Sandusky. Go to Hinckley, Ohio. See acres and acres, the biggest properties you'll ever see. Oh, silly me, that's just Ohio. Go to North Carolina.
Oh yeah.
Go to West Virginia. Go to Georgia, where you've got hillbillies that don't have teeth and can't feed themselves alongside millionaires and billionaires. I mean, where do we even hear that? It went from, we need to stop the millionaires and the billionaires, and then I became a millionaire outside of my $100,000, $200,000 salary a year. So now it's just, we need to kill the billionaires because I'm a millionaire. And it's like, yeah, go check that guy out. Go to Vermont or New Hampshire. There's some banging houses in Maine. Like, these people exist. We don't truly understand the scope of 350 million people. 1% of that is still millions of people thriving with the cherry on top.
Oh yeah.
Now, is that something worth defending? Probably not. You want a better balance to it. But also, boy, do we love the fruits of competition. We got the best technology. We got the best medicine. We've got the best science. We will nuke you. But go ahead.
Well, I think this is where I think we fundamentally disagree on this topic. Should we celebrate the death of a billionaire. So if you remember the sub thing, I don't know, one of them died by a whale. They seem to die via just the silliest of ventures, which I do
taking a sub to the Titanic,
skiing, like a Kennedy,
death by whale,
flying your own plane. That's a Kennedy way.
That's a helicopter. They die in very silly ways, which makes it very entertaining. But I think where the difference between maybe we shouldn't celebrate the death of a millionaire or someone killing of a billionaire and feeling bad for the billionaire is pretty wide.
Wait. But let's flesh it out more, because the empathy you're trying to justify lacking is rooted in what? It's rooted in what did they do wrong? They beat you at the game?
Well,
right?
So I don't think it's not necessarily like they. You got to take these things case by case. I have a vicious no empathy for a billionaire that's putting their thumb on the scale via politics, that's making rules that benefit them but not anyone else. Not the billionaire who created something or had a pretty good business and then just stocks went up and all that, and they managed to make wealth based on I don't want to necessarily say hard work, but smart bets. You come you're probably not going to like this, but like LeBron, who made most of his wealth, being good at basketball, being marketable. I wouldn't say he's putting his thumb on the scale to inflict harm on others via policy that only benefits him. When we start seeing some of these billionaires do exactly that, they're like, well, I want the rules just for me, but not not me.
That's such twisted logic because you like cheering them on, because you wear their jersey. It's funny.
You must also like China because...
I was just about to go there, Doug. I agree. Because what's funny? What does Doug say when we go through wealthy pastimes that cause their demise? And he goes, private plane. You go helicopter. You know who was richer than LeBron? Kobe. Yep. And yet we all crucified Ari Shaffir for making a joke because he was... Let me be clear. You were upset because Ari Shaffir said the truth, which was Kobe was a criminal. I mean, he was a criminal. I'm not even allowed to say the word of the crime that he did on here, or we'd get in trouble. But we look the other way because I like wearing his jersey. Boy puts balls in hoops, great. And I'll look the other way as he makes billions off of the slavery of children. So where I don't like the fact that I live in a corporate system that insurance exists, that's the root of it. Because truth be told, most people are not being denied necessary care. And that's the truth of the matter.
Yeah, I think when you look at just all the numbers laid out in front of you, every single case, there's more yeses than no's. And it's this type of thing is one of those simple ones where you can tell a sob story very quickly. You can tell that narrative really without trouble at all. Oh, I broke my leg. I can't. They denied my coverage. I can't do work like I used to. I can't. It always involves children in some way, shape, or form. I can't hug my kids. I can't go outside and play with them. Every single one of them involves children in some way. Versus there is a method and there is a way for getting your claim approved, and it's usually not trying to subvert the system. Insurance is very good about telling you the rules of the game for the most part. There's always going to be fringe cases where this is kind of black and white, and you look bad when you don't side on the single mother of five. And every single one of these stories, it's a single mother of five. How many single mothers of five do you think there are in this country? Because
a lot.
Definitely a lot.
I disagree. I genuinely do not believe there's that many people to have that type of media response for it. But I think I'm starting to get out of a tangent here. But and I think this other thing too. What makes this particular case start gaining traction because of the healthcare. You get a lot of those who cheer on the universal healthcare. Well, we wouldn't have this if it weren't for universal healthcare.
I love that we have to, when your wife is a huge prominent figure in healthcare, does it not bother you that 80% of healthcare related remedies or what's the word I'm thinking of? Anyway, are you not concerned that 80% of healthcare purchases, I guess, are all fat related? Maybe that's why we don't have universal basic health care, because we'd just be paying for all your Rolos, like the rich man north of Richmond said.
Yeah, so
I'd
that's
like the insurance to pay for my liposuction.
it would.
That's
I mean,
to
it
fix
would
the
be
fat
nice.
problem, then. That would fix the problem.
Lipo's not going to fix it. It's just going to
Makes you
stall it.
skinny.
Really, Ozempic would be the solve for that. But we're putting
That's like $100 a freaking thing now.
And yeah, so let's pay for that for you, Tubby.
Yeah. So this does bring up like an interesting theory. Do you hey, fat people are a problem in this country. They really are a sink on the healthcare system. Should we as taxpayers pay for Ozempic to take that burden off the taxpayers?
In the long run, it would probably help the system.
I think it would.
But in the short term, it would bankrupt the system.
I don't know if it would bankrupt the system.
We have that much money to pay for $100 a shot for
They're currently
probably
doing
100
that.
million
We're acting
people.
like this isn't something theoretical.
Your individual insurance will cover it for you if it's certain reasons,
Yeah.
or you might at least
this
they might
closer.
pay for part of it. But like he's talking about having insurance just pay for everybody who's fat to get them off of the system.
Yep.
That would kill the system. Like,
I
it's
don't-
one thing if you're paying your fair share, or maybe you have an actual condition, your insurance pays for it for you. But it's not paying it for me, for Alex. Like, we're a little chunky. We don't get Ozempic. And we'd have to pay it all out of pocket, I'm sure.
Yeah, but
I don't want Ozempic. Guys, this isn't like some magic drug. Where the fact that it's
the
taken
end of
some
obesity.
time.
Didn't you watch
No.
South Park? End of obesity.
It took us some time to get to the point where we're realizing it's got some huge adverse issues we need to overcome.
Yeah.
And the other problem is the amount of people that are dying from taking it when they get skinny and they're still taking it, and it's like causing bone density,
Oh yeah,
to go down.
malnutrition. There's all sorts of side-on effects that make it maybe not the best. But is it more palatable than just being morbidly obese and having those downstream problems?
If we had everybody doing heroin, would we? I mean, at the point at which we have an epidemic, yeah, we probably should try to do something to help.
Free heroin for everybody, then?
Oh my God, no. But what I'm getting at is all right, we have a weight problem.
Mm-hmm.
Giving us a drug that just doesn't really make us as hungry anymore, I don't think is the solve, right? We'll get there, but in a world where everybody gets upset that we have poisonous dye, and then somebody tries to get rid of the poisonous dye, but it's not from our team, so now we're pissed.
Yeah.
I think the bigger solve is the mechanism itself. I recently learned how the cigarette company was able to adapt and keep itself alive by buying up Kraft, Kellogg's, all of the food. And now we've got this shitty processed food, and it's as soon as I learned that, I'm like, oh my God, this is my cigarettes. I looked at my grandma, what are you doing? You're addicted. And then I'm sitting here straight up addicted to Raisinets, Gushers.
I love my Kraft mac and cheese.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Who
know what I'm
who
saying?
doesn't enjoy a Kraft single?
So I don't want to get lost in the weeds of America's got an obesity problem that inevitably puts a major haze over the universal basic health care conversation. What's funny is my sister, who's a pharmacist, that's why I kind of pushed the subject earlier.
Yeah.
Real practitioners actually do not. Great practitioners in the craft actually do not support universal basic health care because, again, back to what makes our corporate system thrive. Sorry, Mr. Mangione. It's that competition breeds the best. And so if you're paying all the doctors the same, You're not going to have breakout, incredible heart surgeons that make the Cleveland Clinic so great that it makes sheiks from Sudan fly from the other side of the world to have a heart surgery in Cleveland, Ohio. That's called competition. That's what makes greatness. And that's what also means you stay away from that hospital. Or if you don't really have much, that's the only thing you got. But competition breeds higher quality. Unfortunately, and that's the only reason we live in a system that allows that. The guy, I've said this a million times, the guy that created Monopoly created a game to prove to people that if you work out capitalism to its finality, it always ends with one person having everything.
Yeah.
That is the system. But we're trying to play this game where, all right, we play Monopoly because the fruits of Monopoly gets us iPhones and the cure to cancer. We're going to mess with this, but, oh my God, it's getting weighted too much. You literally, I want you to digest, you literally advocated for killing the winner of Monopoly. That's the solve here. No, just so you know. That's a gross, gross exclamation. The truth is, how do you play Monopoly so you get the fruits of Monopoly, but not end it so a Jeff Bezos has all the pieces at the end or an Elon Musk has all the pieces at the end? That's where your socialist capitalism comes in, right? Where you create mechanisms that tax and restrain too much polarization so we can keep the prolong the game.
Or where everyone has at least somewhat of an opportunity to succeed if they play well. And I think that's really the biggest difference between someone who's just makes a lot of money because they're smart, they work hard, or just intelligent about going about the way they do things, or they're creative enough to build like a brand, a profile, versus someone who's like I don't have the sympathy for these bankers that just kind of move money around creatively, just kind of lie. I don't want to say lying, but
I hate the stock market. That's a business.
Yeah, they create their own rules.
Some people make so much money off of that, and other people lose everything in that.
Yeah. Like it's someone creating a product or a brand. All right, I can get behind that. I understand. I support that. I want to see that person succeed. And then on the inverse, someone just moving money around. I don't care. I don't have the sympathy for you in that, and especially when you're going to your local lawmakers and saying, "Hey, this tax benefit really should just be this specific type of investment strategy or this investment product, and we're going to tax this less. Everything else we're going to double because that's my competitors." That's when you start changing the rules of the game that don't benefit everyone else. That's when I'm like, I just don't have that type of sympathy for the death of that particular billionaire.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's crazy you could just say that.
Yep.
Guess what? You may cut the head, but the money doesn't just go back to all you poor losers.
No.
That's what you are. It doesn't go back to the poor losers. It stays with them. And it just goes to the next one. So you're not going to get the social change you want. It's just going to keep being the same system. But instead, you're justifying an infected and sick mentality. I think we've talked about this before, but I want to emphasize, if you've ever seen the show Gotham, I thought they did the Joker the best. They have this kid that the whole time you're anticipating is going to evolve into the Joker, and you're waiting for that moment. And when the final, and seasons later, his twin does end up becoming the Joker. But for this moment, I wasn't watching at that time. But it's like within the first season, the kid that's supposed to be the Joker, he does this scene where there's like a gala on Gotham TV. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if he kills someone, but he does this whole scene where he holds the people up, and I think he does. He kills someone, but then he gets arrested and sent to Arkham. So the Joker at that time, the narrative was the Joker wasn't a person. The Joker was a mentality. And the second that was broadcasted and sent throughout Gotham, it showed regular people watching it and being motivated by it. and justifying then their actions and going out and carrying out even worse actions, robbing little ladies on the street and causing assaults, all these huge problems. All because, not because he did them, but because it was done on TV, glorified, and it was the Joker mentality. Now you've infected society with this promotive. Did you see the videos of like the kid that jumped the turnstiles on the subway and just 300 kicked an old man in front of a subway?
Oh, yeah,
dude, that
Not great.
shit's disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
And the more we just like feed this victim mentality and justify violence, we are never solving the dude on the yacht that you're bothered with. He's still on the yacht. And you and I got to live neighbors with somebody that now is justified in just killing anybody, especially ones that don't look like me.
Yeah, or if they just think you're rich, and we have less sympathy for, I can push you out of the way. I can do this. Oh, yeah, absolutely. When does that threshold stop? Well, that guy's a known billionaire versus, ooh, he's wearing a nice pair of shoes. I want to get some of that from him. And we're seeing more of that. You know, like Grand Theft Auto rates have been rising, have been on the rise, especially here in Columbus. It's you get your car jacked. And there just doesn't seem to be that sympathy for, you know, the guy who has a nice sports car. It's like, well, he's not rich. He's not putting his finger on the pulse. You know, maybe he's an ass at work. That doesn't justify him losing his car. So that's it is a slippery slope. I'll give you that. Absolutely slippery, because it is. Eventually, we just start becoming animals to each other, and we kind of like violence as a society, a species. We love it. Love it.
Do you think we can justify promoting violence to billionaires?
No. Just because you want to be one doesn't mean you have to kill them to get there.
Perfectly said, Doug. Because here's the truth, David, and this is why, you know, it's been lacking tension, not having a conscious, proactive contrarian to the truth on the show. Your point is fantastic. If somebody walked in this door right now, Uber Eats you an IHOP bag full of billion-dollar bills, just hundreds, to where you are now a billionaire. Actually, not even that, because a billion it's got to be digital. They literally just give you a card, and the card is worth $1 billion.
Yeah,
you've got a credit card, debit card for $1 billion. You gonna kill yourself?
No.
Why not?
Because I got money.
Yeah.
Wait,
and
no,
I'm
why
even,
not?
I'm even the bad billion.
No. By your mentality, because they deserved it. Shouldn't shoot, because that trickle down math.
Yep.
Why are you a billionaire? And what are you going to do with those billions?
Oh, probably all sorts of fun stuff. Two
You're not
women,
not handing it out, huh?
Nope, I'm probably not going to off myself.
How much of it is donated to Ohio State?
I'll tell you what
Ooh,
I'd
probably
do.
not a
I'd
whole lot.
become a sovereign citizen. Because I'd have the money to back that shit up.
You hear that, Brandon Joe Williams? You're winning people over.
I'd have the money.
All right.
Let's see them try and fight a billionaire, because they wouldn't do it.
Let's switch gears here, because I have been dying to talk about this. So the Trump presidency. So I think my last show was around Halloween. We're within what, the first 100 or about 90 or so days.
We're still in the 100 days. Yeah.
Still in the 100 days. Boy, it's getting interesting already. So I thought initially when I heard
Wait,
about
this has nothing to do with what we were just finalizing?
I said switching gears. So we're switching gears.
You're just abandoning the fact that you lost.
And moved on.
All right,
We're
no,
moving.
time out.
I know one of my ship's sinking. I was like, all right, we're good. We're done.
See,
Which,
Will-
again, this is what makes you an infectious mentality. You are not allowed to be proven wrong and then still operate with the faulty mentality tomorrow. You've been confronted wrong. Bad truth. You're not allowed to walk into tomorrow going, I didn't just have my truth destroyed.
It makes for good TV though.
You liberals just amaze me. Go ahead. Tell me about your billionaires. Or I'm sorry, the president.
The president. So yeah. So when we first heard about the DOGE thing, I legitimately just thought this would be just kind of a Nothing, like a nothing burger.
No.
He'd walk into an office, he'd look at something.
Trump doesn't do nothing.
Yeah.
Trump does
He does burgers.
Well-
he does Big Macs. He does double Whoppers.
Diet Coke.
But no nothing burgers.
Yeah, there ain't no nothing with him.
But
It's
boy,
go big or go home.
It's been I don't want to say a circus, but it's definitely been interesting just seeing every single news story that comes out of
Every
comes out-
day. Every day is just wins.
and he's but he's actually doing shit. He's looking at stuff. So you didn't get a chance to listen to this, but I think he was on Joe Rogan here like 2 days ago and was going through in detail of what exactly is going on with some of the payment systems, how it all, and I think he did a pretty good job of dissecting exactly where some of the waste and fraud comes from. And I even think he doesn't see a whole lot of fraud yet, or at least as far as what he's seen. But he sees a ton of waste. So just to give you a little flavor.
Flavor me, baby.
So
Guy Fieri
Flavor
right here.
Flav.
if we remember, he went to the Treasury Department or whatever and just got like all the payments. Like, all right, just give me the list. Give me that Excel spreadsheet of where you sent money to and when. And from that, he noticed like the Social Security office, there was a lot of Social Security numbers that were like, I'm dead, but I'm still paying you money, or this person's dead and he's still getting that. Someone's able to use that Social Security number on one office and then go use that same number to different office, different agency, and start extracting money from there. Because these systems don't talk to each other. So there's probably some guy who's pulling money from every single government department for like disability or what have you through this singular Social Security number. He may or may not be him, doesn't matter, but he's pulling it. And because these things don't talk to each other, all right, it's wasteful.
Well,
Yeah.
or it could be someone who's in the country illegally and they stole someone's Social Security as their identity.
Oh yeah,
One of the other things, though, of course, I was one to jump at there's somebody that's 369 years old collecting, or that's on Social Security. Doesn't mean they're collecting it, but that they're on Social Security. What I learned was if there is an error in the data set on a user's Social Security profile, specifically the birth date, it defaults to like 1850.
okay.
So that's why. But again, that doesn't change the point. Like, okay, it alters the severity.
Yeah.
There's not a 369-year-old that's still in our system. But what it is that you've got about 7.5 million folks over the age of 150 that have a faulty data set that you were just never going to fix? No, there's no here's cool things that we found. Can you believe on a federal scale, tribe of 350 million people, we can only federally retire 1,500 people at a time on a day? Did you hear this?
I heard this.
Because we have a totally paper file system in a granite mine underground.
Yep.
So this isn't computerized, no digitalization. A crew of 500 folks are doing all of the federal retirement paperwork in a granite mine. Okay, we're going to say the billionaire's a bad guy when he goes, we should probably do something about this. Like, we should probably get this in a digital system.
We should automate it.
But the problem is, the more digital you make your system, think about it. It's in a granite mine for a reason. Can't destroy it, can't burn it. It's there.
You could easily destroy it.
Sure.
That mine collapse, covered in debris and rubble.
Well, yeah, you're going to have
Gone.
that in any system.
Gone.
Servers just get collapsed.
Yeah.
in
Well,
the
that's why
building.
I was going to
So
bring
that's
up the
nothing's
tech.
really
Tech
safe.
is not that safe either, really,
At least
if at
they
all.
can back it up, though, so if it does crash, at least there's a backup. If that mine were to collapse, let's say there's an earthquake, wherever the hell that is, the wall cracks or some shit. That's gone. That's all gone. There is no backup to those files. At least if you have digital, you always have a backup somewhere.
Right. But for every backup, you have to have added security because this is a system that also can't be hacked.
Okay, but why does that matter? Federal employees, hang on, federal employees get safer data than us? Dude, Equifax, our data's out there. Your company, your courthouse could get hacked, your information. How come the federal government employees get so much better protection and we're the ones being out to dry?
I don't think it's all federal government
I don't feel
employees.
bad for them. I don't feel bad. Digitize that shit, and guess what? You have to deal with the risk like the rest of the fucking country. Stop sucking on Uncle Sam's teat and get out there.
Now, here's a hot take. I don't think all information the government takes of me should be digitized. For example, like firearms. So when you do a background check, there's paperwork for every firearm you buy, and it cannot be digitized. It's by law. It will not be digitized because then you make a registry and all that. I don't want that digitized.
Right. No, I agree.
I don't want to list like, oh, this guy has this many. In a scenario where they're trying to knock people out, I don't want to be. There's probably higher than normal chance someone with a lot of guns would be knocked off that list. So no, I don't want everything to be digitized. In fact, I wish my Social Security, all that information, wasn't digitized, so you're not able to run through it. But you can
burn all your Social Security. You can burn your Social Security card and be a ghost out there if you want. You'll get no.
It doesn't quite work that way.
Doug's been taking a master class on becoming a sovereign citizen, so you could always take on that.
Dude,
that's true.
Take some, like we said, you get $1 billion, you could definitely win that sovereign citizen shit.
Probably could.
That's the money that you need to probably win that shit.
Pay some politicians, grease some hands. Now I'm a sovereign citizen. That's how this game works. Like the golden visa, buy a golden visa or two. Just have a backup in case first one wears out. But the other half of that too, if the government starts digitizing things and it starts to make it more efficient, do you trust the government to have a system that's going to have all these systems talk to each other in an efficient, wonderful way that will just be long-term successful for us?
Edward Snowden, the last time our agencies spoke to each other, it became a problem.
Yes. Some of it's by design. You want a little bureaucracy to be able to do things just without having to check in on every single person. It's like, hey, can we give this guy retirement? He worked 30 years. We need to vote on it. No, we don't need it. We don't need that style. But there needs to be some accountability, and we're starting to see some things come to light of just the silliness of our government, what we're doing. I love the USAID, boy. That was a little linchpin on Twitter. Suddenly, overnight, everyone became an expert on soft power. And everyone, everything USAID was doing is actually wonderful, great. We shouldn't cut any programs whatsoever. Everyone became an expert overnight, both left and right. It's like, well, these people are transing the children, or we're feeding the poor to this one country, or else China's going to take over. Wild. And I do want to see a bit more proof because we've all seen the lists of like what they're paying for. That's just a text document. Where's the actual? Let's put some actual proof behind that. A little more than just what we're paying for transing beagles over in Africa or something like that. Where's the actual evidence of that?
So my continues to beat me over the head with all the problems of Trump, right? Like Trump's the worst ever. And we were driving to lunch the one day, and it was, can you believe because of Trump, there are going to be shipping containers full of food, perishable, good food that is decomposing, that was going to be going to starving people, but is now going to be going to waste because he had to pull the USAID. I'm like, where the hell did you get that? And as she's saying that, I literally text the other person in the car because that morning I saw this picture that said, the tweet that went with it is a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Boom, there it is.
A picture's worth 1,000 words. That's what we need to fund. We need to drop everything and get back there. How about just this past week? I'm going to cut to the clip here. We have Congress grilling the agencies going, so you're just giving a suitcase of like $3 million a day to the Taliban. Mm-hmm. And then you go through a list. What other ones are you giving cash, American cash to?
Mr. Roman, are you aware that we are sending $40 million a week to the Taliban?
Yes, sir.
Can you name other instances of foreign aid going to terrorist organizations?
We have assisted al-Shabaab in Somalia. There's been instances of the Hamzi network in Sudan, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, Kataiba Hezbollah, Hayat Tahrir al-Shams in Syria. Dozens of terror organizations have received indirect assistance from U.S. foreign aid.
Could you elaborate a little bit on the mechanisms in place that are to stop foreign aid from going to terrorist groups, and why are they not working if we have any in place?
Sure.
And I would note that these are, you notice these are terrorist weaponry. You see some AKs, SKSs, some snipers, some clips, some clip carriers, probably made in China. And I believe these are small landmines here beside right there.
Let's use Gaza as our case study. $2.1 billion in American taxpayers' money to Gaza since October 7th when Hamas invaded southern Israel. USAID money was going in terms of an emergency use authorization to try to go to parties that USAID formerly had a relationship with in the Gaza Strip. They had to have been vetted by OFAC. They should have been vetted against the special designated terror list from the State Department and from other Treasury organizations. Waivers were granted because they said that there was an emergency use to have that money come in to Gaza, thereby jettisoning the usual typical screening procedures. As a result, 90% of aid that was going from the United States by way of its agents in Gaza ended up in Hamas-controlled areas. And this is ridiculous. Essentially, what the U.S. assistance to Gaza did was underwrite the ability for Hamas to survive until the ceasefire was just passed a few weeks ago. There was no strategic thought for it, and there was no screening.
Seems like the emergency might have been armed terrorists to kill civilians. Would that be accurate?
That's accurate, and even more than that, Samantha Powers, the administrator for USAID, was intent on having Israel not be able to defend itself.
To not be able to defend it.
Correct.
Mr. Primorak, is that correct? How do you say that? Primorak? I got Burchett, man. Nobody gets mine right, so don't worry about it. What is it? Primorak?
Perfect.
All right, thanks, brother. How did terrorists exploit our foreign aid loopholes?
Well, we have a lot of our international.
Can you pull your mic up? I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
You have international NGOs and UN agencies actively lobby here in Washington, D.C. against vetting policies that would prevent it. I was the senior vetting officer at USAID, and what we did.
Did you say United Nations is doing this? The UN?
Sure, everybody who's getting money lobbies here.
That they're lobbying against us. I'm sorry, Mr. Roman.
There's actually someone who used to work for one of those lobbies, the largest NGO lobby, Interaction. One of our co-witnesses here worked for them from 2018 to 2023. USAID effectively self-funds its own external private lobby that then goes back to Congress and asks for more money for USAID.
So the taxpayers fund this lobbyist who's working against American interests.
Correct.
Possibly killing our allies and possibly Americans.
They bring together groups in Washington that overseas work with groups that kill Americans.
Yeah, I don't need a flow chart to show that. I appreciate it. Do you think USAID programs have been aligned with the national security interests of the U.S.?
No, they have not. They have actually helped China.
Mr. Roman?
No.
Okay. How do these programs compromise our national security, Mr. Primorak?
They actually push China. They actually push much of the world towards China on the green energy agenda. They push people, ordinary people, billions of people towards China because of the resentment caused by our social re-engineering.
Are we being lobbied by these pro-communist China groups currently?
But a lot of these countries don't even have to lobby because they get the money anyway, like South Africa.
Yeah, and in fact, these lobbyists have come to the House and have tried to kill legislation like H.R. 160, which was meant to increase transparency in USAID's funding of overseas organizations.
Is that a current piece of legislation?
That's from the last session.
And give me that number again.
H.R. 160.
And what does it do?
It was meant to give U.S. lawmakers the ability to have higher transparency in terror financing investigations aimed at scrutinizing extremist groups.
Mr. Primorak?
We had a regulation before we left in the last administration that anybody who touches money in countries where there's terrorists, those names have to go through databases, terrorist databases. That was overturned by Biden.
Overturned by Biden. Chair Lady, I am currently 5 seconds, but I wanted to mention something. There's a lot of rhetoric used on this committee, and I would urge my friends on both sides of the aisle, let's stick to the actual information. this rhetoric is, I've received death threats, and I know the chair lady has, and it needs to stop. We need to tone it down. Thank you, chair lady, and thank you.
And it's so that, yeah, you know what? I think we're a little thrilled to kind of at least slow down the spigot on that.
Yeah.
So do you think we should reinstate all of USAID? Because nothing was halted as far, it was stopped temporarily to be reevaluated and the necessary mechanisms to be reinstalled. What do you think about the USAID stuff?
I'm sure they do good stuff. I'm sure every agency does a little bit of good. They can't just all be evil, or else they would just be, they would be disappeared so quick.
Well, it's those 3-letter agencies you got to worry about. USAID, that's 5. So we're.
But I think there is an argument to be had that, hey, we're promoting goodwill on countries so they don't create terrorism and start, causing mischief amongst, when we're in those countries. 'Cause there's not really terrorism over here, fairly rare. I think we can all agree on that. But, like our U.S. bases all over the world, which we shouldn't have, but they're there. They're not going anywhere. I'd like to have some programs that dispel, resistance amongst that. But there's I don't even think it's a fine line. I think it's a highway between supporting, helping children in lesser countries, or funding grants for research on, dogs and,
Well, I want to fund research on dogs.
Do you want to fund Fauci's research on dogs? Do you know anything about that?
Because he released a virus last time.
Wait, hold on. Do you know about what he did with dogs?
The beagle, the Fauci thing? Is it the beagle thing, or is that something
beagles.
else? Yeah.
What he did with little young...
Beagles in Africa?
Yeah, well, he caged and poisoned. Oh, these poor dogs. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not
Fauci's
exactly the
finest.
biggest fan of that. Now, some research is...
I'm not a fan of that. That's good to know. Thank you.
It's good to know. I mean, you know what? Billionaires, we could test our chemicals on them, but...
Dogs? Nah.
No.
They don't deserve that. But there's probably some help we can do. But I'm not a fan of the political influence. We're funding political parties in other countries because it's beneficial to us. I don't know. How many times can we directly prove that the $10,000 we put in this jingle and this song for this campaign resulted in, I don't know, better economic policy over in West Virginia? I don't think we could ever draw that line. It might exist, but boy, it's going to be a thin line to draw, and you got to go through all these other lines and make it happen. So in that case, it's just wasteful. It's silly, but it's also 0.0001% of the entire budget. So I think there's bigger fish to fry. I would love for him to do the military. I don't think we're going to get that far because he gets close. All of a sudden, there's going to be a Wario or something, or a Mario getting Elon out there when he's walking over to his next Tesla appointment. Because
you're going to be the first person the Secret Service investigates now.
100%.
Oh yeah.
100%. This show is the first person from the Rethink Tank to get a.
Is your name Mario?
We're talking about Musk on the positives. Hey,
more Doge. Give us more Doge.
David, have fun in Guantanamo.
Yeah. They're going to be like, we don't think you are that big of a fan of Mario Party at 31 years old, so we got to talk to you. All right. That all being said, we will transition to Zelensky here just shortly. But in regards to financing international relations, the problem is you create where you have the temporal result you're looking for. It also creates long-term issues or also benefits, but take something like Zelensky. All right, so you spend all your money, use all of your agency forces and every mechanism you have at your utility to get a comedian who plays the piano with his penis as president of Ukraine. So now you've got this puppet instilled that is just there to be a mechanism, a cog in your larger mechanism. But But that also means, kind of like all DEI initiatives, you've got someone there who doesn't really deserve it. They were put there. So now you've got a guy that isn't the most set for the role, keeps fumbling the ball, and as a result, keeps needing to come back to you for more and more billions. And so we can have an interaction like this with J.D. Vance and Trump in the Oval Office because this guy, the delusion behind his eyes of not just like, Vance says it, but like there's no thankfulness or cooperation. It is expected.
Yep. It
is expected because what are you talking about? You're the host body. We're just, an arm to you, the host body. This is your only role, which is to fund me as I let my wife go to Milan and buy, Coach purses. You're supposed to fund all this. And then they get all doe-eyed when we're like, no. You're your own responsibility, especially because this is not the administration that instilled you as an agent of our force. It's a weird dynamic, and it's sad we've gotten ourselves into this situation, but also J.D. Vance heavily points out to him, it's like, your people don't even want to fight this. Yep. Like, you're desperate. You can't get anybody to do it. It's not that we don't want it. Your own people don't want it. You are not in the place to negotiate. And what speaks, the last piece I got for you here, on at least this as we transition into it, is what speaks to Zelensky's mentality and kind of the potential infectious results of these types of international fundings and support is when Lex Friedman, the Russian-Israeli podcast operative, is interviewing Zelensky. And he makes the funny at the end, and he's like, you really would like Joe Rogan. We should get you to Texas at some point, and we should have dinner. We'll take you to a steakhouse, and you would enjoy that conversation. Regardless of what you know or think about Joe Rogan, this is an invitation to speak to one of the largest audience voices in the world. Like, this isn't a nobody, even for a president. I don't care who you are. The fact that the only place his mind went to was, who is going to pay? F you, dude. You're talking to two millionaires. One's about to be a billionaire and asking who's going to pay. They weren't even thinking about that. That's what talks up that, like, people with real wealth, people that don't have, like, poor mentality or have a social understanding about their way in the world. Notice neither of them are even thinking about who's paying because they're like, they're probably already internalizing that they are going to be the ones paying. Like, yeah, of course I'll pay for you, President. That's fine. The fact that that's the only thing he's thinking about, not who he's going to be sharing a table with or what the experience or where we'll go, just who's going to pay. That's, to me, says it all.
Yeah, he hasn't seen a lot of resistance on asking for money. It's apparent. I think everyone's on the same page. Very beginning, we're very sympathetic. Hey, your country got invaded through not necessarily any fault of your own. There's probably a little bit of shenanigans going on. I
don't know, like the president's son being in charge of your major corporations.
Should have never given up their nuclear weapons in the 90s.
Or using the presidential power to quid pro quo, so you get a prosecutor fired who's about to press charges on my son. Neither here nor there.
Well, that didn't cause Russia to invade, so I think everyone's on the...
Yeah, it did. I would have been like, get over here. Hey.
So... He's got a lot of sympathy. I think everyone's like, yeah, we don't want Russia to invade. In fact, we want you to win this war. But at a certain point, we
don't care about them winning. We just want them to inflict as much damage on the Russians as they possibly can. We don't care if they win.
The American people are starting to see that. They're starting to see that. We're just funding a proxy war, so we're damaging someone else.
We're back to the Cold War. That's all it was, is proxy wars. That's how the whole Cold War was fought, man. And we're back to that.
We're done with that.
And truthfully, you let up on our school institution propaganda for Russia and redirected it elsewhere. You needed our focus on the sand people at the time. So because of it, I don't hate Russia like my dad does. It's a totally different world.
Yeah.
when Tucker goes there and talks to him, I listen. I go, oh, what do we got here? I'm not like, kill the witch. That's how the world has evolved.
Yeah, I don't know if that type. Well, we talked about that in the podcast. I wasn't. Anything he says is probably going to be fake. Hell, anything most of these leaders say probably going to be doctored fake.
But guess what?
Way.
This guy, he was on Ukraine's Got Talent. Bing bong, bing bong, bong bong bong, playing with his weenie. Sounds like a fun time. This is a homie.
Dude.
I can't find an ounce of empathy for this guy. I actually can't stand him.
Oh, really?
The
Okay.
more he talks, the more I just get disgusted with his existence. So, like, it's funny you say that because you're 100% right. I'm sitting here thinking, like, clearly the dictator, Putin, is going to be using manipulative language and like, playing the people. But he's doing a much better job than the dumbass who keeps getting billions of dollars and is talking to the president dressed like you. That's going to come up in these clips, but it's like, dude,
He always is
America
like, he's
is irritating.
always casually dressed, man.
Yeah.
That's
He's
been
an
his
ass.
thing
He's
since
been
the war
dressed
started.
for like the wartime stuff.
Yeah, he's
it's-
dressed
Yeah,
like
guess
war.
what?
Was he in a suit when he asked Congress?
Yes.
Yes.
He was always in a sweatshirt.
Didn't
He's
he make
usually in like a
Didn't he make an
green
appearance on the
shirt.
Oscars? I think he was wearing a suit for the Oscars.
So he gets more dressed up for the
the rich,
occult
famous
Satan
people.
ritual than for, actual diplomacy.
He's trying to join the Illuminati,
Yeah.
don't you know?
He's already a part of it.
No. He's like an apprentice or like a pledge.
Oh,
not
he's definitely-
in it
he's
yet.
definitely a part
pledge.
of it.
He's
Oh, he's
trying to
definitely
get
a
in.
part
Why
of
do you
it.
think the war's going on? He keeps coming for money. He's pledging. That's his pledging.
He's enjoying the paddle stage way too much.
Can't wait till Hell Week. He's gonna love that.
But I think what we all enjoy is we finally get to see one of these things actually get hashed out in person, live. There's no narrative. It's you watch it and you can make opinions on what happened, but there is no narrative. This is what was said. This is how people reacted, and this is probably going to be the consequences of that. We've never seen that. And I wonder if this is the norm where these world leaders bicker at each other like that, or is this probably the most extreme case and we just so happen to get a camera on it? So
All right, so let's do a little bit of it. So
right.
first, okay, so it's in front of us. It's in the world stage for the first time ever. Political scientists and logical minds like ourselves get to see it in front of us and actually engage with it in real time. First, before we get to the series of Zelensky clips, I want to lay a groundwork. J.D. Vance has been in hot water because he's been antagonizing political figures. First, it was at the Munich conference when he called out Europe, and now recently, just before the day before we spoke to Zelensky, he called out the UK Prime Minister for his legal policies infringing on the First Amendment. So, with all that being said, first let's check out the Munich conference where he's calling out Europe for their attacks on free speech and free thought.
In Britain and across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat. And in the interest of comedy, my friends, but also in the interest of truth, I will admit that sometimes the loudest voices for censorship have come not from within Europe, but from within my own country, where the prior administration threatened and bullied social media companies to censor so-called misinformation. Misinformation like, for example, the idea that coronavirus had likely leaked from a laboratory in China. Our own government encouraged private companies to silence people who dared to utter what turned out to be an obvious truth. So I come here today not just with an observation, but with an offer. And just as the Biden administration seemed desperate to silence people for speaking their minds, so the Trump administration will do precisely the opposite, and I hope that we can work together on that. In Washington, there is a new sheriff in town, and under Donald Trump's leadership, we may disagree with your views, but we will fight to defend your right to offer it in the public square, agree or disagree.
What I love more than anything is just how well-spoken this guy is.
Oh, very, very
He is
well-spoken.
just so well-articulated, and he's presenting what has been Nazi-esque, antagonistic thoughts and words and phrases in such a way that you cannot hide anymore. You must battle your ideas in the free marketplace and see if they can thrive. It's brilliant. It's about time. Here's what we've never had. We've never had our ideas from our side of the aisle presented and spoken to the public like Obama. We've only had an idiot that talks like this and big, large, and bigly, like making up words. Yep. Finally, it's our ideas said in an articulated way that forces you to have to confront them. So, one, how can something like this make world headlines? What was so inflammatory there? Now, I admit there's more to the speech, and he's like, calls out Germany a little bit because you guys are voting today soon about freedom of speech, and it's only evolving, and watch out for the UK. But, like, why are they making these ideas out to be... What was antagonistic about that?
Well...
Trying to tell another country what to do.
Well, that's part of it.
We wouldn't like it.
We wouldn't.
That is, and that comes to that next clip. I like that point.
Yeah, because we have it enshrined in a constitution. Not every country has that, and especially not the old world. Like the very old countries don't necessarily have that. And it's a team thing too. They're playing team politics. So it's like, well, the red guy said it, so I don't like it. Replace him with Obama saying the exact same thing. And I think probably Obama might have said that in a very early presidency or when he was campaigning. Some of his, I loved your tweet a while ago. If Obama was the same person in like 2008 or whatever, now he would be considered, fringe right.
This is not going to be a free ride. It's not going to be some instant amnesty. What's going to happen is you are going to pay a significant fine. You are going to learn English. You are going to go to the back of the line so that you don't get ahead of somebody who was in Mexico City applying legally. But after you've done these things over a certain period of time, you can earn your citizenship. So that it's not something that is guaranteed or automatic. You've got to earn it and believe in immigration. But they can't have a situation where you just have 500,000 people pouring over the border without any kind of mechanism to control it. So we've got to...
Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws, and I believe that they must be held accountable, especially those who may be dangerous. And that's why we're going to keep focusing enforcement resources on actual threats to our security.
With respect to gay marriage, I do not support gay marriage, but I support a very strong version of civil union.
So I came to my Christian faith later in life, and it was because the precepts of Jesus Christ spoke to me in terms of the kind of life that I would want to lead.
That's great. That's true. And just saying some simple things like that. Yeah, no, but I think they're packaging in all the kind of the grossness of some Republican politics, and now your Republican face. Well, now you get to carry the baggage of all the lessers before you. But yeah, I agree. He has a very great articulation, a great cadence. He's not distracting, or it'd be hard to, outside of like having someone do an impersonation of him looks wise, it'd be hard to actually impersonate him because he just talks normal, like a broadcaster. He isn't trying to do a bit.
Did you want to hop in on that? I almost cut you off. All right, so Doug made the great point about, we wouldn't like it if somebody came into our country and was telling us how to run things. So here's the Oval Office meeting where J.D. Vance gets one last dig in to the European Union because he made all these headlines. Everybody's bashing him for calling it as it is, and now he's got the Prime Minister of the UK sitting in the Oval Office, and the UK is, if people aren't aware, administering these new policies that are just pulling people off the street for memes that they're posting online.
Oh, yeah.
So they're really turning up the policing of free speech and free thought, and it's beautiful to see a diplomatic representation of calling it out on its face.
I said what I said, which is that we do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies.
But we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British, of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right. But in relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history there.
We discussed all this.
I love that.
He's very proud.
Yes, and it's refreshing to see them put on their heels. Like, what do you got to say about this? And, you know, like a good politician does, he beautifully lies to his people. Of like, oh, we aren't doing that. We didn't clear out all our jails of murders and assaultees and thieves so we could make room for memers. We didn't do that, as they did exactly that. So what I'd like to transition to, wrapping up the show here, I wanted to actually watch the whole thing. And you and I just break it down and go through it. Dude, it was 60 minutes long.
Oh, yeah.
This was
the
like
whole,
a 60-minute transaction.
Podcast
oh, my God. It'd be forever. Especially, for us, it'd go forever. So what I did was I pulled like 5 of my favorite clips from that transaction with Zelensky in the Oval Office with J.D. Vance sitting there barking like a hype man. Like, yeah, you don't mess with my dad. This is my daddy. You don't mess with my dad. And yet, while it is this weird dynamic, to me, and I'm laying this as my preamble to kind of shadow the rest of the experience here, but it truly does feel like you're looking at the future president talk. Like, to me, it's like, that's the president. This orange dumbass who resonates with the masses of dumbasses, this guy was just a stepping stone to our president. An Ohioan, just like us.
Yeah.
You're basically saying J.D. Vance is Kamala Harris.
Oh, 1,000%. So this one's the longest clip, and this is really the heart of it.
You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal? It doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America and for the good of the world. I'm aligned with the world, and I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred, and I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So
I didn't
it's not
see
a question
that part.
of alignment.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough.
I could be so tough.
But you're never going to get a deal that way, so that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
Hey, I will respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Oh?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2015.
2014?
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
that's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. People have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You
God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
You're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate
100%.
what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position.
You
don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having
I'm not playing cards.
Right now, you don't.
You're
playing cards.
Mr. President.
You're playing cards.
Serious.
You're gambling with the lives of
war.
millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
a lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire
today.
meeting, have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot of
answer?
talking.
What an
Your
exchange,
country's in big
dude.
trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn
We-
good chance of
we are
coming out
staying-
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said thank
stupid
you.
president,
Also-
$350 billion.
You
We
voted
gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about you
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in
This is
2
a
weeks.
conversation
Okay?
that should not have been in front of the press.
No, it should not have.
Not really, but I'm
But
glad
this
it
was
did.
Zelensky's fault.
Yeah.
He wanted it
They even
litigated
tried,
in front of...
It's like, you really think this is smart to do this in front of the press?
said a lot of
Except that there are
Thought you were more
disagreements,
tactful.
and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's
I
very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running
I
low
know.
on soldiers.
Don't-
Listen,
don't please,
you're running
Mr.
low
President.
on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then
President.
then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I wanted this. Look, If you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you'd take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
With guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me.
For you what
that wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins.
You actually said that.
I'm
going to write my own headline in the middle of an argument.
Without us, you don't have any cards.
Funny.
Oh my God.
It's going to be a tough deal to make because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks?
It's like a conversation with my dad. We're not doing this till your attitude changes. You know what? No keys for you anymore.
What are you saying?
Walking to school.
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt.
Are you able to rewind it? So I just noticed this. Zelensky kind of, when Trump says they didn't respect Obama, they didn't respect Biden, but they respect me, Zelensky kind of gives a nod like, yeah, they do. Rewind it back. See,
it should be like just a few seconds.
Yeah, or just
like right here.
Just play right here.
What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt.
Whoa!
Yeah?
Whoa!
Even Zelensky's like, yeah.
Again, this is why these things being in public is so important. It cuts both ways though, because it's not just we get to see these. You see weakness in a country too, because you're seeing weakness here.
Oh my goodness!
It's obviously
and
not
you're
possible.
seeing strength.
So
not our weakness.
No, not
you're
our
seeing strength.
So if I'm going, if I'm in Putin's shoes, I'm just gonna keep pushing. I'm gonna keep pushing. I'm gonna keep trying to get my way here because
I'm winning.
I'm winning. I'm seeing the tensions break down. It's not looking good for the resistance libs or the Russiagate resistance libs. They're having a field day right now. They're like, I told you so. I told you so. It's like your conspiracy theory uncle. Fuck, every single person that thought, Russiagate, that's actually real. This was a real thing. They're pointing to this right now. They're all over Twitter. There's like 20 actual Russiagate resistance libs, but every single one of them are on every single social media post about this because it's in their eyes, it'd be hard to argue that this wasn't the truth.
Right.
Just based on this. And obviously, he brings up a great point. It's like, how can we guarantee, because last time we did a ceasefire, they fired on us.
Right.
How do we keep doing that? He makes a great point. He asks a good question, and then I think it just kind of turns into...
What if they dropped a bomb on your head?
Yeah, like dogpiling. And is that intentional, or are they just trying to make theater out of it? Or they go...
I think that's a classic David deflection. Right when you got me hooked, I'm transitioning to a bomb coming on your head. Boom, boom, kaboom. That's 5 big Costco booms.
It's a very nice bomb.
We have just a couple clips. I don't want to exhaust it because that was a dense one.
Yep.
But there are some really funny moments. So again, we were talking about Zelensky dressing to important meetings like David. And
why am I getting picked on?
Because you look fresh. You're the best dressed in the day. He's at least not wearing a Columbus Lavash hoodie, like a 21 Pilots fan.
I'm repping Ohio State and Columbus.
I would have been better off just going Ohio State.
Yeah, the
Ohio
champion.
State shirt.
Like, at least I'm wearing
You're dressed like Zelensky instead.
I am.
So somebody finally calls his ass out. So talk about like people getting what they want on the public stage, like the confrontations we're looking for. This is the one I've been itching for.
Second question. My second question for President Zelensky. Why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office.
For real.
You refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
You have problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not
Really?
respecting.
I don't have
the
such.
office.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one.
Maybe something
maybe
like this?
something like
Yes,
yours.
sir.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper than. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for.
There's an easy way to be like, hey, I'm in, I'm not here for politics. I'm here to get shit done. And instead of doing, well, my suit's going to be less expensive than your suit. Like,
exactly.
He's not. He's.
I'm dodging bullets for a living. It's
For
hard to do in a suit.
For a comedian who is on television, he's very uncharming.
Right.
He's not charming.
That's
like,
what I mean. He's so unlikable.
I don't like Putin. He's a little charming on TV. He's got a little like I'm trying to work you up, talk you up a little bit. He's just kind of why would you resist anything I ask for? I'm the real victim here. In some ways, yeah, probably, but you're not being likable enough to start spouting this off,
right?
In the slightest.
One last clip here. I got two more, but this one's one with actual meat on it.
I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh? This is going to be great television, I will say that.
and who knows better than him?
It's not wrong.
You're fired.
so-
I'm surprised you didn't do The Apprentice. You're fired.
Oh, he's waiting for the right moment for that.
Oh, you know he is.
Has he done that at any point in his presidency?
No, and rightfully so. The guy, honestly,
I don't know. I'd love to see.
He might
it.
not own the catchphrase. Like that might be NBC's, and he doesn't even want to mess with that.
Dude, side note, you can't watch The Apprentice anywhere anymore.
Yeah,
they pulled it as soon as he got elected in 2016.
It's
man.
almost untouchable unless you own it.
Oh, really?
You have to have the DVDs. You can't buy it online unless you buy it used from people. They straight up are like, we don't want to give him any of this money.
Not even it's the money. It's they don't want him in a positive light in any fashion.
Or pulling clips in a negative light too. Like
That's true. Shit. What if his campaign wanted to pull it? What if they pulled it?
Probably, because let's be real. If you remember that show at all, he had some cruel moments. That was the character he played, was being very cruel at that table. Last one I have for you is just Trump being Trump. I thought that would be the perfect cherry on top with all this circus in the Oval Office. Somebody asked him, do you still think that Zelensky is a dictator?
I still think that Mr. Zelensky is a dictator.
Did I say that? I can't believe I said that. Next week.
I don't believe I said that.
I don't believe I said that.
Next question.
That is fake news, sir.
All right, so let's kind of bring this thing to a close here. To me, it was a refreshing display of our country's diplomacy. Because one, we haven't been able to see it. Two, I just got off the ship where Putin tells us your guy can't. This was the old president, dead guy, Weekend at Bernie's. Your guy cannot talk to me on the phone. He actually doesn't have the brain capacity, and I've never once spoken to him on the phone. I talk to agents that represent your country, and they have their own agenda outside of what you even know exists. And they are your true, real representatives. Because I don't talk to your president. He doesn't exist to me. Then, does he say some quirky stuff? He called him a dictator once, now he doesn't remember it. Did I do that? Whatever, and he keeps moving on. Is that good? No. But at the same time, art of the deal, is it not beyond refreshing to have a cognitive, strong figurehead representing us? And for once, it's so strong and it's so exemplary that we can put it on the national stage for all eyes to see. We don't have to hide it. We don't have to have ABC clip out 30 minutes of it like Kamala when she rambles. How would that dialogue have been with Kamala? We know he would have been trampled all over. We know he would have been cutting a check for $1 quadrillion for his wife's next trip to Milan. And we won. Two dominant figures are walking out of that room going, we hold all the cards. And we all know we're about to check out. We're going to close all the equipment, hop on an Uber, and start a fun day of just out being some guys. And not a single thought is going to be put to if we're in a worse spot. I leave with total confidence we are in good hands. Is there a little bit of a delusion with that? Yes, because it was so bad before. I'm willing to give this more credit than it truly deserves. But what to me feels irrefutable is we are definitely in a better spot than we were 4 months ago. What are your thoughts?
What we witnessed yesterday is probably one of the most important meetings of our lifetime.
Really?
Yep. I think the downstream effects of what happens here can have radical consequences for us. I really only see it in a negative fashion. So this probably goes a couple ways. We just continue doing what we're doing, and this was put on display for a dog and pony show for negotiations down the road. Okay. Or, oh God, this was the dog and pony show, and now, do tensions ramp up? Or, hey, does Ukraine just get taken over by Russia as a result of this? I could see both outcomes. Most likely, I think they come to a conclusion where, well, part of Ukraine's now part of Russia, and we kind of let the bad guy win with not really everything they wanted, but they got more than when they started. That doesn't make me feel great. However, it is. I think Trump specifically is very good at saying what the American people typically say. So in this scenario, how many conversations we heard with, like, I don't know, your dad, your uncle, or what have you? It's like, well, hey, they don't have any of the cards. They're only doing this because America's funding it. Zelensky's not. Boy, he's going to all the liberals. He's talking to all the Democrats. He's campaigning against the other party in the country. That's probably not great. And now we're seeing some of this play out and actually just being spoken out loud. There's probably a good reason some of this shouldn't be on shouldn't be
probably
live and on television, but it is. I agree. Refreshing to see it, even if there is consequences that are negative to our daily lives down the road. It's nice to see, and we do hold a very powerful position. And I think there is just some of the mannerisms from Zelensky. Yeah, Trump's to be taken seriously on the world stage. He's not just some goofball saying stuff. He does it, but there's people that genuinely fear what he might do.
I love that being the wrapping thought on this, Doug. Anything you want to add?
I really wish we could get an Apprentice 2.0 and have Zelensky be on it. Because just watching that, I'm ready for more of that.
I want a season of The Apprentice where he's in charge, but on the table, and all the competitors are world leaders. It's Xi Jinping and Putin and
Zelensky.
The Saudi princes and. Oh, this would be one heck of a program.
In the world of deepfakes and AI videos,
Let's make it happen.
You could probably do. There's enough. You have to find the lost tapes of The Apprentice, but you could probably deepfake him to say, "You're fired, Zelensky." Done. That video would do millions.
It would.
On the internet.
That's the sad reality. The actual political dialogue that, like you said, might have a huge ripple effect and is one of the bigger moments in our lives. For the masses that want a political opinion but do none of the political homework, they're just going to gloss right over it. But man, that meme video, they would have retweeted it, shared it 10 times, and it'd be the pinnacle of the politics they consume today. We live in one heck of a world. So, David, as you know, it's been heartbreaking not having a lot of the contention we miss on the live show. It's been refreshing to be able to talk some politics and break down such an important
I'm glad this happened right before we were doing this, because now there's so much meat on this bone. It could be its own live show.
It could. So again, guys, thank you for joining us. We don't go live with David anymore every Tuesday, but we do go live on Tuesdays. Doug's running the keys, and we've got one heck of a program. The full staff is there now. Again, besides David, it is heartbreaking. But we get them back where we can. I lock them down where I can. But join us on Tuesdays for our live show, the Rethink Tank Live. We also have our reactions channel. Our soccer show got barred this past Sunday. So if you're wondering why you didn't see it on the YouTube channel, it's because, the YouTube landscape is just one hard quagmire. So you can find this past week's episode on Rumble. But if you're looking for one central place where you can find all of our programs, from the reaction show to the podcast and everything else, you can find it on our website at www.rethinktankpodcast.com. If we made you laugh, if we made you think in today's episode, the best that you could do to support this show is share the link. If you liked it, then someone else you know will too. So please spread it around, but be sure to hit that like and subscribe and notify yourself so you don't miss the next episode. But otherwise, guys, we appreciate you joining us, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace. Well done, boys.
Good episode.
Great job.
That Zelensky shit was hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You were picking up on his face. I did not notice that.
Oh, you didn't?
That was huge.
We were watching. It's literally like that's in my mind. I'm like, oh shit! Like he legit did it. It sounded like he did it.